So, you want to be a Pokemon trainer?
Hi. Welcome back. I'm here once again. This is another video, and it's been a very long time, and this time I decided to draw in the never-ending, but not almost never-ending, more likely the very long quest to draw all the NPC characters from Red and Blue in the interpretation that I have, based on the designs of Ken Sugimori in Ken Sugimori's old style, but with a little bit of a twist, with my influence, I guess. And here I am starting to do Psychic. So this is the Psychic NPC character, and I was getting a little ahead of myself and thinking maybe I can do a female Psychic too, but then I just gave up on that because I don't know, like when you wake up in the morning and you decide you want to do something, so you can just do something and then discard it and then move on to actual work that you have to do. You kind of want to speed things up, and I've been actually drawing this with a 15-minute timer. So I have a break for 3 minutes, and then I go back for another 15 minutes. And I can't really tell you where a timer in this case is, but I can tell you that I've always taken a break every 15 minutes. And here's me trying to draw a Mr. Mime, but I didn't do that because Mr. Mime is gross. So this is how I start. You see, these are how the sketches go, and if you've followed this series before, and I'm very sorry that it takes so long for me to show up with another episode, and I do force myself to do this. Like, I really didn't feel like doing this today, but I thought, there's so, it's been so long since the last one, I should really just do it again. And this is the result. So here's me struggling with the hand, and then this is me still not realizing that the head is too big. Why is his head so big? Well, I don't know. This is how drawing actually works. In fact, you focus on the things that you find more important, and just subconsciously you draw them bigger. And then when you look at the picture again and then you realize your mistake, and then you have to downsize things. And luckily we're working with digital, and digital allows us to downsize, resize, modify a lot of things. So there's a lot of things you can do to preserve time and preserve effort with this process. Now, I have to be really honest with you and say that I feel like both of these two characters that I did today are kind of a disaster. They don't look very Ken Sugimori-like. They don't seem to have a good flow. I'm just looking at those two legs, and those stems are not showing a good gesture. They're not showing a good line of motion. So if you're wondering what the side image is, there's a wonderful application that I advise everybody to look into if you want to have references very easily. It's called Pure Ref, and it just makes you able to open or just copy paste or even just drag and drop any images, and it will create a collage that you can scroll and move around in. Especially with the touch screen that I'm using. I'm using a Cintiq, so I have touch on it and I can actually move it around. It's very useful, very good, and it's for free, but you can donate, and I feel like it's definitely worth donating because it's just a good program. So back to this, I took maybe 1 or 2 15-minute breaks. The entire time that this took with this recording, it sped up, of course, for both of the characters was 1.5 hours, and I was watching Pokémon, the original series, while doing it. And man, and so there's me trying to do those square hands, square fingers, and honestly, like, I'm not very proud of any of the drawings that I did today, and it didn't work out, and maybe it's just a lack of enthusiasm. Also, the fact that I'm doing this alone, and maybe if I did it on live stream it would be better, but I don't have a good enough internet connection yet, again, for something like that, and I don't have, it doesn't feel like I have the time to relax and do something like that, for fear of maybe embarrassment, or maybe even, just feeling like if I don't put music, or if I someone hears something in the background, it's just embarrassing and it's not professional. So I don't know how other streamers get to do amazing things that people watch while maintaining all these things, but I sure can't, because I want it to be very professional, and I don't want any disturbances while a live stream is going on. So it's always a challenge, and that's why I don't really do it, because I'm too I don't think I can handle that professionality, because of course you have to be professional, you have to be well educated, you have to do everything to be successful. Sorry if you didn't get the sarcasm. That's because of my monotone voice. Now, anyway, let's go and look into the line arts. I'm a very impatient person, so my line art was very immediate following the sketch phase. And Psychic has shorts, I decided, because, he's covered up by a lab coat, which is in the sprite. But in this case, I wanted to put a more energetic feeling to it. So what's underneath? Because we noticed that on the sprite, there is a little, the little pixels resembling his legs and feet look like he's wearing sandals or Crocs or something like that, and whatever they do in the 1990s. Oh boy, I'm just looking at this picture and I'm going, this is not going well. This is not going the way you think. And both of the feet, I just did not put any effort into that, and I'm very sorry about it, but life must go on, and when we finish this, we're going into more interesting NPCs. If I ever continue doing that. So it's nice to see that, I don't know, at least I'm flipping the canvas, And then I noticed that the foot was too small. It's stuff like that you just go, why? Why isn't it working? I wonder if I can do, sometimes I can do Meowth's voice, sometimes I can't. From the anime, and that's because I was watching the Pokemon anime.
Hey, we're in New York.
No, that's not how it sounds like.
Pokemon aren't meant to fight. Not like this.
So it's kind of like that. Actually, I did a nice little musical number using one of the Japanese Pokemon ending songs, which was great. And you can hear the Meowth voice there. I wasn't too bad back then, but that was 8 years ago, so times are a-changin'. So there he goes. Psychic is kind of holding his hand out because that's what psychics do. They don't have much else to do except bend spoons. The line is, I'm sorry, self-criticism is always a big factor with me, but it's a mess, honestly. If I took time on it instead of the 25 minutes that I did, it probably would have turned out a lot better. And if I relaxed a little bit and had people's feedback and talked to some people, maybe some fellow artists, I think it would help stimulate the mind and get me more interested in working. But since I don't have that at the moment, we're just checking this out. So check it out. Something about the psychic, I wanted to get the hair to look more like the one in the sprite, but then again, I also wanted it to look a little bit like the one that was drawn for Pokemon Stadium, because that was a direct reference from the sprite, but it was interpreted by another artist. I don't think it was Ken Sugimori. Oh look, you can see all my files. What an embarrassment.
How embarrassing.
Oh yeah, I'm opening an older, if you remember Cue Ball, I'm opening an older character we drew. Us together, we drew this! To get some color reference. Now, this is the point where you make it look like Ken Sugimori's. Oh, those shorts are so bad. The coat is uneven. I mean, granted, like, I only have 2,000 subscribers, so kind of shows that, subscribers numbers are like power levels. So you see someone with 300,000, they're much more skilled. I'm holding on talking because I don't know what to say. Basically, the coloring went exactly the same as the other coloring did, with the other characters that we did in the Ken Sugimori series of NPC characters that I am slowly getting agitated by because it doesn't look exactly like it's supposed to, and I don't know if putting them together would be any fun or anyone would enjoy it because it's not 100%. And if you don't go 100%, I don't know. Wow, I'm so negative. I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry, but when you look back at your drawings, you can't help but see all the little flaws and minutiae that don't work. But, hey, you know, maybe that's just a good way of learning. You know, you're just showing yourself what you did wrong, and then you just decide next time it will be better. You know, and then next time you will do a better job. I think this was me taking a break and not stopping the record button. Oh boy. So I'm kind of cleaning up the face here with, I think I went on a top layer that's just below the line art layer, and then that's where I just go through all the colors and clean up edges and strengthen shadows and do many other kinds of things that are common in trying to make a cleaner image. As you can tell, like the way I color is I'm not really zooming in too much because there's a little habit that I should take up again, which is zooming in. And the reason why I don't zoom in is because I remember when I was maybe 15 or 14 and I zoomed in, or when I was even 5 years old, I zoomed in way too much and I focused on an image way too much within the detail. And then once I zoomed out, I found out that wow, completely misproportionate and completely ruined the image. Granted, I was 5 and this is a ridiculous notion to bring up, and I should really stop having that kind of fear, and I should just take it on again because I know that I am now a lot older and a lot more experienced, and I don't know why I'm so scared. So it's interesting that this is kind of like a psychiatric talk from me to you over Ken Sugimori imitation Pokemon art. I'm glad you're here to witness this. But, you know, these fears must be conquered. They must be tamed. They must be taken away so you can move on to grander things. Because taking time on drawings is not a sin. You know, one of my favorite songs in the Pokemon series has to be many of the tracks from Totally Pokemon, the Gold and Silver series. I'm not sure what you guys think about that. But oh yeah, by the way, Psychic's done, so now we're moving on to Juggler. I decided to put those two because they were quite boring characters, and honestly I wanted to do them justice, but I was impatient, and my 15-minute timer made me feel nervous. It's so weird, like, and you know, when you're recording a video of you drawing, you just feel nervous because you know it's recording, so you don't want to mess up, you know what I mean? And that's funny because, like, you try to compare yourself to artists who can just do 3 strokes and they do a perfect image, and meanwhile you're doing all these scribbles, as you can see on the screen, but you don't want to be that guy. You want to be the guy who can just do 3 strokes. And so you get nervous about how many scribbles you're doing, and then that affects your work later on, which is not a good way to work. And I don't know who I am as far as, you know, what the skill level is, but I think that it's a good way to think about it is just think about the final product. Don't think about how you do it, because in the end, how you do it doesn't matter. If someone says, wow, that guy drew 3 strokes and he's amazing, yeah, it's a party trick. You know what I mean? Because, like, it doesn't matter if there's a guy who takes, you know, 3 days to work on one face and the other guy just does 3 strokes. Granted, you can learn from that. But I mean, you get faster, so that's good for productivity, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, there's the Juggler. He's looking great. But he's not, because if you noticed, his arm is very bad. And so are his hands. But then again, you know, I'll tell you, I'll let you know on a secret. On a secret that is interesting. I didn't want to put any references of hands or arms onto the screen because I wanted to be cool and show you that I can do it from memory. I know. That's very, very petty of me. And so I tried brute forcing it by getting it from my imagination instead of looking at reference of arms, because I feel like, you know, you want to be cool with the kids. You want to show how cool you are. But I think that that's another very unfortunate notion to have, because it just stifles the end result, and the end result is what matters. So here's a line art for the Juggler. I was battling between wanting to make the pose look like it's a different angle or a different kind of energy, or just keep things relatively the same angle and the same pose, just because you want to put them together in a collage. So you want to put them together in one big image to show all the NPC characters once we're done, you know. But yeah, you will see in the end of this video how that turns out. And here goes the fingers. You can see how both fingers from different hands. Yep, I just got very sad and I just went, wow. Like, look at that shoulder. Oh, good, I fixed it. Whew. It's weird that you can't see that when you're drawing. I find that completely strange. So as for the color, I just decided to take the colors from the Pokemon Stadium version, because in my opinion, I didn't really have much of a... I don't even remember really fighting jugglers in the original Pokemon games. So I don't have much of a affinity for that character, but here's some of the coloring. I sped this up a little bit faster because, you know, we'd be here forever. And yeah, I think you just gotta know where to put the highlights and where to put the shadows, but I talked about that before. And look, I'm zooming in because I just remembered, maybe I should zoom in once in a while instead of just using the whole screen. Oh, how embarrassing. Now we're in Photoshop and we're going to either conclude or put in together and see how they match with the older Ken Sugimori pictures I did. Here I tried doing a little effect to make the ink lines look a little bit liney. Yeah, and then I looked at this and I was very disappointed, but in any case, there you go. This is the two characters that aren't very important as far as my nostalgic value is concerned, but you know, it's getting there. We're getting some NPCs going. It's looking okay, but I wish there was more of a tightness to the poses and more of a tightness to the anatomy and how they, how their bodies are constructed. Maybe that might be my problem with being a little impatient with getting them done, as it usually is, and I'm very sorry about that. But maybe it might be something else. But in any case, we will try again, and we might be able to do a better job, especially if I start doing streaming and we can talk about it while I draw it. I think that sounds even better than me trying to do things alone and just speed this on until it doesn't work. So anyway, thank you guys very much for listening to this. Thank you for waiting for another video of me trying to draw some of these characters, and thanks for subscribing. I think you can watch some of the Pokemon Let's Plays that I did that I can't do anymore because it's a lot of maintenance and it takes a long time to do, but nevertheless, I'm very grateful. All right, thanks.